Some days back, I had the privilege of interviewing this foreigner from Japan, and the reason why I did an interview with this lady you're about to discover. Talking about Kenya, where cultures collide, landscape enchant, and life takes on a new and vibrant dimension. If a foreigner woman can come to East Africa, can live, a foreigner who does not look totally like a black person, comes and lives here for a very long time and even has her own business. You see, this should inspire African Americans. This should inspire Africans in the diaspora. I was told to call you Africans in the diaspora because we don't only have black people in the USA, we have black people in Southern America, we have them in Europe, we have them in Caribbean. Yes, so African diaspora is the sweet name. I urge black Americans to explore East Africa through her eyes and through her story. You see, to reconnect with the shared threads of the African diaspora and to discover the deep, enduring roots of their heritage in a land that beckons with promise and possibility. Guys, I want you to join us in this voyage because the story of Madam Hashimoto, or rather Dr. Hashimoto, is so inspiring. And my question to you is this: if somebody can live all the way from Japan and come to Kenya and live for a very long time, how about you? There's a lot you can do if a foreigner can do this. Kenya is conducive for black people. Kenya is conducive for all foreigners. It's high time you jump into the boat. So without further ado, let's jump into the interview right now. I'm having a set of questions to ask you about your experience in Africa, and your story is going to inspire so many people to come to Africa because you are going to share with them your point of view about Africa. Dr. Hashimoto, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
How are you feeling today?
Very fine, thank you. And you?
I'm good.
Good.
And I'm privileged to have this interview with you.
Thank you.
It's such a big blessing.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. I'm having my friend here.
Yes, Eugene. Probably you know me. I'm also delighted to talk to you, and I've always wanted to talk to you and you sharing your story with other people, because I believe it's going to impact not one, not two, not three, but a lot of people who might want to come to Africa and maybe invest in the opportunities that Africa can offer. Yes.
Thank you.
So guys, Dr. Hashimoto is a lecturer. Yeah. So she's teaching in a university in Africa. We are not going to discuss that. And the reason why we've hosted Dr. Hashimoto is because she has a good experience of Africa, and she's going to tell us some of the things. You people who are looking towards coming to Africa, I think you should come to Africa, because if somebody from very far, somebody called Hashimoto, tells you Africa is a good place to come, then I think you should. And this is something you don't want to miss. You've had a unique journey as a Japanese expert in Africa. What advice would you give to somebody considering moving to Africa for work, especially from a different cultural background?
Simply, I would say come with an open mind, not to come, I don't know whether they use the word blocked mind of like, this is how Africa is, I'm coming to save the people, or, you know, but really coming with an open mind that you want to work together with the African people, trying to understand their culture, sharing your culture, and meet in the middle. You know, how can we help each other to improve our lives? I think that's one thing that is important, because if you don't come with an open mind, you get very stuck, and you maybe start complaining that I thought it was supposed to be like this, it's not like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's very important.
Yes.
Ready to learn, ready to appreciate different culture.
Wow. So saying open-mindedness, how has this open-mindedness helped you? Have you any examples that you had here in Kenya?
I think when I came to Kenya for the first time, it was more like comparing my culture with the Kenyan culture. Like, oh, you know, why do Kenyans do this? In Japan, we won't be doing this. But one time when I went back to Japan, and I will be now saying, why do Japanese people do this? In Kenya, they're more open, they're friendly. And that's when I realized, oh my gosh, you know, where do I belong to? It's like when I'm in one place, I'm complaining about this. When I'm in another place, I'm complaining about that place. And I learned that, wow, you know, it's very important to appreciate both cultures. That maybe there's some parts of a culture, or I don't know, way of life that I don't appreciate, or maybe, you know, I'm not accustomed to. But I shouldn't be like judging that this is wrong, they should behave like this, or this is wrong, you know, you should behave like this. To, wow, every culture has its own unique, you know, uniqueness. And how do I appreciate the differences rather than complaining that they should be like this? And that's the time I realized, like, wow, I'm neither a Japanese or Kenyan. I can only be a global citizen. Because you have, you know, and I think that happens to many people who travel around the world. You can't be fully Kenyan, you can't be fully this. I think you learn how to slowly by slowly become a global citizen in a way that you appreciate different cultures. I hope I answered your question.
You've done more than answering. So, number 2, many people around the world hold various stereotypes about Africa. Can you share your experience in dispelling some of these stereotypes and how you have contributed to a more nuanced understanding of the continent? So I would just like to know, for you to name out, because people have had different stereotypes. You know, in West Africa, it's very common. We have coups. Even right now, there might be a coup going on. So what are some of these stereotypes? And you as a person, as a foreigner who has lived in Kenya, how have you realized that they're just stereotypes and not real things? And how you dealt with them?
I think when I was in university, the idea about Africa was it's full of like famine, you know, hunger. Because I think that time there was a lot going on in Ethiopia. UNICEF was asking for donation, you know, of the poor children who was going through hunger, drought. So the things that was in my mind was, oh, Africa is a place where it's full of, you know, famine and lack of food.
The Western representation.
Yeah, the suffering. And okay, let me close my mouth because I tend to go through.
No, it's okay.
But one time when I used to belong to a club in university where we were visiting different embassies. And I remember clearly when we went to an embassy, one of the embassies of Africa, we met with the first secretary, and he told us, you know, you young people need to go to Africa and see Africa with your own eyes.
Well, you were young then?
I was at university. And don't rely on, you know, outside newspapers. You know, you rely too much on outsiders, like, oh, you know, the information that is coming into your country, like, oh, this is how, you know, Africa is. But go yourself, you know, go to Africa yourself and see with your own eyes how Africa is. Come back and then tell your people what you've experienced. And it really touched us as young people.
And what did you see?
What did I see when I came to Africa? I saw a very, I saw a very, I don't know, in English, I saw many things.
Which are beautiful.
Which are very beautiful. And I remember when one time this person, I won't mention who, came to Japan, and as students we met this person and we were told, anybody who has a question. And I just raised my hand and said, well, if I come to Kenya, will I see animals at the airport? But I didn't see animals when I came to Kenya. The land was so vast compared to Japan. I really appreciate the nature, the beauty of the country. And I also found people very accommodative, very kind. And I still will say that something that I really appreciate about Kenyan people is, you know, the openness, the friendliness.
How many provinces do we have in Kenya?
5?
5?
I don't know. I know it used to be 5 during province in Kenya.
Yeah, provinces.
Like the Nairobi Coast Province, Western Province, Central Province, Eastern Province, Southern Province, I don't know what is that?
Northeastern.
Northeastern, and what is that around Masai Mara, Naro?
Rift Valley.
Rift Valley Province.
You know
Is it 7?
7.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Yeah.
you can cut the 5 then.
Okay. So, Dr. Hashimoto, how many islands do you have in Japan?
4 main islands,
Yes.
but many, many small islands.
Can you name the 4 main islands, Dr. Hashimoto?
Hokkaido,
Hokkaido,
Honshu, Shikoku, Kyushu, and many other islands, starting from close to Russia all the way to the southern part.
Do they have a number?
Do they have a number? Means like how many number of islands?
Many.
Many, very many.
It is 3,500.
Wow. So why do you ask me?
Just want to know how much
Okay.
is it.
Oh my God! And the people will look at you and say, "Oh, this person doesn't even know our own country."
Yeah. So, okay. So, number 3, beyond the challenges you've had in Kenya, can you describe the moments that have truly enchanted you during your time in Africa? What makes this continent special to you, Dr. Hashimoto? Africa.
What makes the continent
Special.
to me?
Yes.
Very interesting question. Because I've lived here for many, many years. But again, when I was at the university, as I said, the founder of the university said, 21st century is the center of Africa. And, you know, Africans have really, really suffered all along, and they deserve to be the happiest. And I felt like as a university student, I really wanted to contribute to that, you know,
That happiness.
to make that happen. So I think in that way, it's very dear to me, hoping that I am able to contribute. I hope I answered you.
Yeah, you've answered in the same way you've answered it well. So I can't help but ask a question tied to that one, which is Dr. Hashimoto. When I look at Japan, I look at Mount Fuji. It's a very nice mountain, and I love everything there. So, is there any landscape or physical thing that you love about Africa? Something that you are always waiting for a vacation day to go?
Africa or Kenya?
Kenya is in Africa.
Generally in Kenya where you are.
Oh, Kenya. Kenya is okay. When you say Africa,
Yeah,
I went to
right.
different places. I like the Mombasa beach, like Diani, Diani beach.
Yeah, I was there with Eugene the other day.
Oh, okay. The white sands
Yes.
is something that we don't have in Japan, so it's beautiful.
So you don't have sandy white
We
sand
have, but it's
beaches?
not like white beaches that goes on and on.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow. That is beautiful to know.
That's beautiful. Even Gong Hills, like if you climb Gong Hills, and I prefer looking towards Tanzania. When you climb Gong Hills, there's this side where it's very green.
Yeah.
You see the airport, Nairobi, and on the other side it's very brown. But you saw those Masai Manyatas and all those hills and mountains.
Yes.
I used to go there when I feel so low, and I feel like, wow, the world is so big. I shouldn't be crying about my small, tiny problems.
So I don't know whether you're a Christian or not, but considering that the world is so big and it's beautiful, there's a verse in Genesis which says, in the beginning God made the heavens and the earth, and when he finished creating all things, he looked down and said, everything is good. I think that is what you saw also when you're on top of the mountain in Gong Hills.
Yeah, or like sometimes when you fly, you know, when you're down on Earth, there's a lot of conflicts. You know, like conflicts and challenges, right?
Yeah.
And as human beings, including myself, like, oh, I don't like the situation, or why is this like this? But when you, for me, like when I fly and look down, 36,000 feet down, the country is so small, and you wonder why do we fight? Why do I have to argue about a small thing when the world is so big? Enough for everybody.
Yeah.
So I really like being in the air. Really when you're in the air and you look down, the roads are tiny, and I wonder, like, if the roads are tiny, the people are so tiny, and I don't know why we're having to fight. So we have to look at each other as the other. I don't know. Do you have that feeling?
Madam, you also taught me about Ubuntu spirit. Do you remember?
Yes.
Considering that you talking about looking one as the other, and that what it entails being Ubuntu. So I highly believe, as a person who have been with you for some times, and you've taught me, and I've had the experience, and now that I'm hearing that from you, yeah, it really tells a lot that you preach what you say. Because if you're saying that we should see each other as the other, that's the Ubuntu spirit that you once taught us. Yes, and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I think it comes from my belief that everybody deserves to be respected.
Yeah. You are having a very good belief, because people choose what to believe, and you cannot think for somebody. Dr. Hashimoto, the only person you can think of is yourself.
Yes.
So I'm bringing us to the fourth question. So how do you navigate the balance between embracing African cultures and maintaining your Japanese identity? There's a time you told me, Dr. Hashimoto, that at some point you felt you were not fully Japanese, at some point you felt you were not fully Kenyan. How do you bring this to balance, and how do you maintain harmony within yourself, Dr. Hashimoto?
When I'm in Kenya, I'll be like, oh, why can't Kenyans behave like Japanese, right? And when I go to Japan, like, why can't Japanese people behave like?
The first questions.
I think that's.
Oh, it was part of the first question.
And then until you come to a point of, wow, maybe I'm a global citizen.
I understand.
Whereby you adopt to a different situation.
Once you adopt, so in adopting is when you realize you're a global citizen. So you identifying you're a global citizen is what confirms, is what registers your home.
I felt like at one point I can not say, having lived outside Japan for many, many years, I can't say I'm fully Japanese, because maybe the kind of things I do or the way I think could have changed, from having to just lived in Japan for all my life. But also I can't say I'm a full Kenyan because I have lived here for many years, because still I have that background, being brought up in a different culture. So that's why I'm saying at one point, like, I'm neither here nor there. So maybe I call myself a global citizen, and I think we're heading there, where we go into different environments. But it depends on how you identify yourself with this.
Thank you, very true.
So Dr. Hashimoto, how many countries have you traveled in Africa?
I count, or I say the names?
Either way.
I prefer you say the names.
Say the names?
Yes.
Of course, Eastern African countries like Uganda, Tanzania, Burundi, Rwanda, Zambia, Seychelles, Swaziland. Now it's called what?
Eswatini.
Eswatini, but that is Swaziland. I have gone to Ghana and Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast.
Yes, so those are countries I've visited.
I see you have a good experience and you've tested different African cultures. So the other thing I would like to ask is, apart from Kenya, which any other African country did you find interesting?
Interesting. I found all countries interesting.
But is that one country for example, you're living in Kenya before because you find it interesting. However, you will be living in Accra, Ghana, if you chose Nairobi, Kenya. Apart from Kenya, which other country would you say touches your heart, Dr. Hashimoto?
They all touch my heart, and all the countries I went was because of work. So it's not like holiday and I was relaxing. So your work. So the kind of places you go are very different kind of places. You know, like it's not like going to the hotel and the beach and the mountains and tourists. You're going to maybe offices. You're going to a place that people normally don't go. Again, it's like each country has its own uniqueness. But what country I liked was Ghana. I visited Ghana 1990 something, I can't remember. I found people very friendly, down to earth, very helpful. I also had very interesting episode. There was a time when I went to Ghana, my friend asked me to buy some, kitenge dress, kitenge clothes. I came back. That was another interesting story about this lady. She was a tailor, but she brought her 2 suitcases to the hotel room and showed me all these things, was necklace and
African attires.
Everything. And she told me, oh, can you keep my suitcases until tomorrow because it's late at night? I'll come and pick it up tomorrow. And I was wondering, this lady doesn't know me, and she trusts me to keep her items in my room until the following day. That was something, I still remember. So I came back and I gave the clothes, but it was too big. Like, oh, it's so big, or it was too small or something. So I had a chance again to go back. So I contacted this person, like, oh, what you gave me was too big. Can you make it smaller? So she said, yeah, I'll make it smaller. But that time I was, moving around different cities. And the day she says, oh, I'm going to bring it to you, I said, I'm not in Accra, I'm in Kumasi, and from Kumasi I'm going straight to the airport. Can you bring it to the airport? She said, yeah, I'll be there. And that time I didn't have, we didn't have those mobile phones to call, where are you, kind of.
That must be a long time ago.
It was a long time, 1990s, right?
Ah.
And again, as I said, this is off. I just want to share with this interesting story. So when I was at the airport, I'm waiting for her, and I don't know how to contact her. And I said, oh, there's this coin phone or something, where you put coins, and I think, and it wasn't working. And I did have to ask somebody, please, can I borrow your phone, because I really need to call this person. So when I called that person, she told me, oh, I'm on my way, but there's a jam. Give me some more minutes. I said, no, I have to check in now. Okay. If I don't see you, I'll make sure I ask somebody to send it over to you. So as I went the plane, I was thinking in the Kenyan way of like, maybe she's lying to me, like, oh my gosh, she's lying to me now, I'm not getting it back. And when I came back to Kenya, I was in an office, and the phone rang. I was just there by coincidence. The phone rang, so I said, okay, let me pick the phone. And the lady said, I want to talk to Hashimoto. Like, yes, it's me. It's me, so-and-so from Ghana. I'm sending somebody with your clothes. Can you pick it up from this place on this day? I will not forget it, because I would not even imagine a tailor making an international call to tell me I've sent somebody.
That's African honesty.
Yes. And I actually got it from another person who was told by that lady that if you go to Kenya, give this to Hashimoto. That really touched my heart, and I really felt sad and bad that I was mistrusting this person. Like, she's a liar, she's not going to. No. But I feel so bad that I have grown into somebody who immediately thinks negatively than giving an opportunity for somebody to prove first. So that's one thing I learned in Ghana. And I'm so grateful to her. What I want to say is that it's not about Africans are trustworthy. I think so long as we're human beings, we have good people and negative people, right? So for me, I think when I came to Kenya as a student, I had this culture shock, as anybody will have. When you go to another country, like, oh, you know, culture shock.
Yeah.
But one thing I learned at that time was like, because when I was a student, people were, when are you going back? Can you bring me a camera? When are you going back? Can you bring me a car? Until I thought, oh, they want to be friends with me because I'll bring them something.
Yeah.
And I was getting into this culture shock of like, who can I trust as a student? You know,
Somebody wants to take
can I
something
really
from
make
you.
genuine friends?
Yeah.
But during that time, something happened about a Japanese person doing something not right. And I think I was very naive. But at that time, like, wow, you mean my Japanese people also do something? And it made me think and realize it's about how many good friends I make. If I only meet bad people, that country will be a bad place.
Yes.
But if I make good friends, that place will be a good place.
Mm.
The way Ghana, you know?
Yeah.
If that lady maybe cheated me, I'll be like, oh, you know that place, they will con you.
Yeah.
It's your experience. So definitely there'll be good people, and there'll be also negative people.
Yes.
But it's upon each one of us to make efforts to make good friends. And for you to make good friends, you need to also be a good friend.
Yes.
And I don't know whether I'm answering your question, but sorry.
Yeah,
I
you
think
are.
That's
You
what
are.
it is.
You are.
Yeah.
You know, the golden rule says that do to others what you want others to do unto you. You see, you had the experiences of you're asking yourself, do I really have true friends? So that in order for you to ask such questions is because inside your heart you are longing for that good friendship. Is because you have that necessary soft skills to maintain a good friendship. Now you are looking for somebody who can reciprocate, and you are in the right path.
So be a good friend first
Yeah.
before you want somebody else to be
Yes,
a good friend.
Exactly. So number 5 will be okay. So in your so how do you address the challenges and the misconceptions and the biases of Africa?
I think she already answered that.
You already answered that.
Pass.
I already answered that.
Oh, I already answered that. Okay.
Okay, number 5. What are some of the most heartwarming stories or experiences you've encountered in your mission to promote cross-cultural understanding between Japan and Africa? Which begs me to ask this question. Are there any similarities between the Kenyan culture and the Japanese culture?
Yeah. Actually, we are having another person who has also stayed in Japan for some times, and she also have an experience in staying in Japan. So she'll take at this point, and she'll answer some questions. I hope you're okay with it.
So the sister, we are going to ask her this question. Dr. Hashimoto will take a little break. All right. So sister, what are some of the most heartwarming stories or experiences you've encountered in your mission to promote cross-cultural understanding between Japan and Africa? And what the question I'd like you to answer us is there any similarities between Kenya and the Japanese culture?
I think I'd answer that from the differences point of view, because the two countries are very, very different. And for instance, as Dr. Hashimoto has said, we have a very let's say closed off culture in Japan, as compared to Kenya, where everyone is open, people talk to you in the streets. But in Japan, I remember sometime I was told, just mind your own business and don't be too open, and let's say sometimes they can find it as you're intruding, when in Kenya it's different. So
it's normal.
yeah. So in terms of promoting cross-cultural understanding, I think the team we went, we managed to show them how open we are, and just sharing our meals with them, sharing we actually had a cultural event, and we shared our different dressing. People who had on shukas, and we ate so many things. So I think it was very important for them to see that side of us, and they managed to see like, oh my God, there's such a different world out there, and that's how more and more people get curious, like, I want to go to Kenya, and when they come here, they're like, I want to tell people what I've seen. So yeah.
So would you recommend Japan to a Kenyan person?
I definitely would, and that's why I'm going back.
Yeah. You can't go back to where you don't like.
Yeah. But at the same time, I would like to repeat again that, as Dr. Hashimoto said, it all depends on the type of friends and company you keep. Because at the end of the day, if you go there and you meet the negative side of it, you would not want to go back. So going with an open mind is one thing that you really should do, and of course research. You'll be able to see how different the cultures are, and how you're supposed to adjust easier than just go there and just be in this state of culture shock, because it's very easy to be depressed, especially in your first few months as you're trying to adjust to the weather, to the food. Everything is different. So if you're not careful, you might fall into a place where you're like, I don't even want to leave my country again. So just being open-minded and knowing that it is how you perceive things and how you take on the challenges.
On the same note, I'll ask you this question. You say like in Africa or generally in Kenya, people, we are open to each other and we talk to each other. So for a Kenyan today, for example, I'm in Japan, I'm on the streets, and you know, in Africa we do ask people, I want to go this place, what's the direction, where do I get? Not that in that place people don't like opening up to people, and people mind their business the way you said. Does it mean that I will not go where I want to go? Because people are just busy with, people are minding their business, and maybe I want to get a shop or just buy something, or maybe a grocery, and I don't know. I'm just landing on the streets, and maybe I'm having a hotel somewhere, and I'm on the road, I'm asking a person, I want to go to this place. Does it mean that I will get lost?
First of all, you might find it hard to find English-speaking people. So that's one of the reasons why you might not even ask for directions in the first place. I remember I was lost going for an interview once, and I took 30 whole minutes asking everyone, do you speak English? Do you speak English? Now in Japanese. And some were even bothered, like no, but some were like very concerned, like, oh no, I'm so sorry, I don't. And then I was lost for a whole 30 minutes. I missed my bus, and an old man came very respectfully, and he was trying his best, and he was just like, hello, lost, and like he did his best to help me, and that is how I got home. Of course I missed the interview, but basically you would just have to be very, very well prepared. But there's also how can I put it, like there's a lot of signs they try to put, especially when you're in Tokyo, like the city centers. They try to translate them, because so many foreigners are going to Japan. So if you don't know the language, which you should definitely brush up on, you just have your phone in hand and it will get you anywhere.
So how much do you think Japan is conducive for a black person?
I'd say from my experience and from the people I know, I'd say none of us have experienced any racism. It's more of culture shock, because they're still having this wave of foreigners coming in, so they're seeing all these different types of people.
So you're not only one in a million, or
no, black, you're definitely alone even in a whole town, but just different foreigners. So they're usually surprised, more like, look at this person, but you will never find, at least if you don't know the language, because you can know, but I don't think they're always so kind, at least when it comes to taking care of the society or like each other out and about. People are always so nice and kind. They will help you, and yeah, so far I haven't experienced anything negative per se.
All right. So we are ending in 5 minutes. Okay, thank you so much. So, Dr. Hashimoto, what challenges have you faced while living and working in Africa, and how did you overcome these challenges? You know, we understand that every day can't be sunny, every day can't be rainy. So, what were the rainy days for you, Dr. Hashimoto?
The rainy days. The rainy days will be more personal. But even in those rainy days, I have very good friends, very good support, that I was able to overcome them. Have I answered the question? No?
Okay, you've given a blanket. You've given a blanket. You told us, yes, there are some challenges, but how you confronted them? Did you confront your challenges using your friends, or how did you confront them? At least, if you would tell us how you confronted them. Did you use your friends as shield?
No. It was like a war situation. No, not as shield. Friends were more of support, which I think any one of us need.
Yeah.
But I guess maybe based on my religious beliefs, when you meet challenges or obstacles in life, it's more of using your wisdom and courage to ask yourself, how can I overcome them? What will I learn from them? Because all along since my childhood, I've been taught not to run away from problems. Because when you want to run away from them, it will come back in a bigger form.
It never goes away.
And as a young person, you get scared, like, no, I don't want these problems to come back. But using your wisdom, and maybe that's where faith comes in, and courage to say, well, there's a meaning why this is happening in my life now. How do I, tackle it? How do I create value from this situation? So, yeah, it's not like using human beings as shield to, how can this person help me? No, it's not like asking friends to help you. Friends are there who will support you, whether it's morally giving encouragement, but at the end of the day, you have to deal with your own challenges. So being positive, which takes a lot of, a lot of energy, and it's not easy. It's simple to say, but at the end of the day, it's that, right? Being positive and say, I can overcome this. I can create value and learn from this problem. And when you overcome them, you know that you can help other people who go through the same problem situations. You become also, as you said, the shield to encourage that person that if I can overcome, you can also overcome. Yes.
Okay. So we have 2 last questions. What advice would you give to other Japanese people considering to work in Africa, or who are coming as students, let's say?
I think I said that at the very beginning as well, like come with a very open mind.
I think the questions are just recycling, but in different formats. So we have the last one, which is, how do you envision the future of your relationship with Africa?
My relationship with Africa?
Let's say Kenya, let's narrow it down.
My relationship with Kenya?
Yeah.
What is my vision about my relationship?
How do you envision it?
Say in 10 years, where do you see yourself with Kenya? Let's put it that way.
I hope that I'll be able to be the change in my own unique way. Whether it's in education or whatever I do. Yeah, I don't know how to answer that question, but I'll still be able to give hope to people.
Yes.
Even if it's among 10, 1%,
Mm.
but give some kind of encouragement that they can be the change themselves.
Dr. Hashimoto, you are already doing that.
Oh, I didn't know
Yes.
that first, thank you. To better society. So like, I envision myself as somebody, I hope
Mm.
I can be somebody who can change, better society
Yes. Yeah.
in
That's-
my field.
Yeah.
Make a world a better place.
Yes, better place to live.
So, guys, Dr. Hashimoto, are you-
Guys, I am not a guy.
He's
No.
addressing.
I hope you remove that.
Yeah,
Wait,
we'll cut
okay,
it.
okay.
There's something I've remembered.
Oh, all right. Tell us.
About being a black person in Japan, one of the things, the most adorable things, like I've said, that you'll also find many foreigners from different Asian countries. So most of my dormitory was full of different areas, like Malaysians from different places everywhere. So there was a time they asked me, Michelle, why is your hair so long during the day and it's short at night? But they didn't know the things like wigs, and Africa is so used to wigs and extensions in the hair.
Yes.
So they used to wonder, they'd look at me. That was a two months after I was there, they got the courage to ask me that.
So they were
And
just
then-
observing.
Exactly, exactly. And when I brought out the wig, everyone was like, oh my god. And then they took pictures with it. Someone even called home, video called with the wig on. Yeah.
Wow. So it was like a culture shock to them.
Yeah. And also when it comes to the skin color, of course, kids would ask you like, why is your
Why you
palm
dark?
very
Yeah.
white, but here you're very dark?
Yes.
So yeah, these were some of the questions I
You
got.
see, when you look at your palm and I look at Dr. Hashimoto's palm, they're all similar. This is just a reminder from the creator that he's the manufacturer, and this is his signature. That is how I answered such kind of question. So, Dr. Hashimoto, in order to sum up, what do you think of Africa? The last thing you think of Africa?
It has a lot of potential. Africa, I guess it depends on how you want Africa to be. But I want Africa to be, as the founder said, 21st century Africa. You know, a place where everybody can be happy.
Yes.
Because I guess all human beings are born to be happy.
Yes.
And maybe it's my conclusion as well. I don't know how many people who wants to come to Africa, but I'll say whoever wants to come to Africa, whether you're Japanese, American, you know, whoever you are, if that's your passion, you know, if that's your dream, you know, go for it. You know, don't stop your dream because of one. Don't give yourself excuses of not doing something. And I'm not saying, oh yeah, please come to Africa or don't come to Africa. But if anybody wants to come to Africa, you know, really have an open mind. What is it that I can contribute to? You know, Africa, and I'm sure people want to come to Africa for a reason. I don't think it's because I want to make more money or I want to teach these Africans something. No, I think you want to contribute to world peace, and you feel like your heart is here.
Yes.
And if that's what it is, just go for your dreams the way she is going to Japan, because that's where her heart is. And it's not like you have to be here permanently, right? Like if you feel like your mission is somewhere else now, be free to go to where your mission is next.
Exactly. Thank you, Dr. Hashimoto.
Thank you.
It has been a pleasure.
Also, thank you. Thank you so much. So guys, the interview has been a successful one, and we are happy that they hosted us, and they are really nice people. So guys, if you're a person, okay,
Sijiuliza Michelle. Sister, what do you think of Japan?
Japan is an interesting country, to say the least. you walk into the airport and the first thing you notice is, oh my god, I am at home, as with everywhere. And I think what got to me is how helpful the people are. And I know when you look deeper, there's other sides to people, but at first you will not feel like a foreigner. Is for like you will not feel too out of place because they do their best to welcome you. And
Japanese are very hardworking.
Yeah. So the other thing would be, I think with any country, I would advise, like, I wish I could make it happen, but I usually say I wish each and every person in the world was just able to go to different countries and be able to experience what's happening. Because I don't know, it changes your perspective so much, and
it widens.
You see things from a whole different perspective, as Dr. Hashimoto said. You become a global citizen, and you can see the problems you are having or the problems your country are having now seem to be so small, and it widens your horizons. And I think so many things would be solved if everyone could just go and experience each other.
What is the name of the international airport you arrived in Japan?
It was Narita.
Tokyo Narita.
Yeah.
Okay. Madam, when you landed in Kenya, what was the name of the international airport?
Jomo Kenyatta International Airport.
These our interviewees know where they are and they know where they are going to. So thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate a lot.
Guys, tell us what you think on the comment section.
Yeah.
See.
Share.